Okay, so this is our last actual meeting of our beginning bridge class was yesterday, where we talked about takeout doubles. That's the last topic that we have. Today in this review, we're going to discuss both overcalls and takeout doubles because those two topics kind of go together. We also will have one more final Zoom review session, and that will be next Saturday afternoon. Our class will be from 10 until noon, and then at 2 p.m., after we all rush home, we will have a Zoom session where we kind of do a review of the entire class, just to kind of put everything together for you. And that will be Tuesday, Saturday at 2 o'clock. Our last class next Saturday is a play party. We're just going to play hands and talk about the hands and see if you have any questions. Just give you a time to really solidify what you've learned and get a chance to practice most of it. So it's just a party to have a good time. I want to remind everybody that at this point in your bridge career, you should be ready to start playing some games if you'd like to, and you really need to play in order to learn bridge. You've probably already found out at this point that sitting in class and listening to what the instructors say is one thing. You do get information that way, but you will never learn to play bridge solely by doing that. You have to play bridge. And I think playing bridge with people is the most fun because you get interaction and you can talk to each other about what's going on and how to do things. But whether you play with people or whether you play online, you do need to practice playing. There's a difference between what you're hearing and putting that into action by actually using the cards and making decisions yourself. So, really, really recommend that you find a way to do that. And some of the best sources of ways to do that are with other people in the class, if you can find other people that want to play together. Or we have games on Wednesdays at noon. And the games at Wednesday at noon are for beginners. And you don't have to have a partner, you don't have to make a reservation. You can just show up for the game. There's a lesson at 11:30 that's optional if you want to attend that. And then the game at noon. If you want to play in the game at noon, you need to be there 10 or 15 minutes early to let them know that you're there to play. So that's the only little thing we'd ask of you. But it really is designed for beginners. Everybody there is has taken beginning bridge at least in the past year, and most of them a lot more recent than that. So it's a fun game. It's very relaxed. Nobody cares a lot. Everybody just wants to have a good time and get to play bridge and learn a little bit more about bridge. So that's that. Okay, so let's get to talking about actually overcalls and takeout doubles. Are you seeing on your screen now a thing that says competitive bidding?
Yes.
Good, okay. Let's talk first of all about overcalls. That's what you covered in last week's class, but the two of these things go together. So that's why I kind of discuss them together. Um, Up until last week in our class, we had only talked about bidding and play when there were two people, you and your partner bidding. The opponents have not been bidding at all during the earlier part of the class. It's just been you and your partner. But it's hardly ever just you and your partner really bidding. Usually the opponents get into the bidding. The opponents may have started and you want to get into the bidding, or you may be bidding and the opponents get into the bidding. Either way you look at it, it's going to come up a lot. And so you need to know about what the rules are. The rules change a little bit if you are in what's called a competitive auction. And that's what this competitive bidding means. It doesn't mean in competitive in the way that you're running a race and see who's first. It just means competitive in that both of you are competing to get the contract. That's what competitive bidding means. Now, it seems like why would you even want to get into the bidding, right? If the opponents have started the bidding, Why do you even need to get in? Let them either do their thing and not and get their points, or do their thing and not get their points and give you some points. Well, there are several reasons to get into the bidding. Um, One of the first ones is that just because the opponents have started the bidding doesn't mean that you don't have anything, and doesn't mean that it's not the contract for you and your partner. They may have started it, but that doesn't mean it really belongs to them. However, that also tells you why it is it's important that when you can start the bidding, you do start the bidding. Because if you can open the bidding, if you have 13 points or more, you definitely want to open the bidding. And the reason for that is it makes everybody else have to scramble after you. You've set the tone for the bidding. But even if the opponents have done that, they have started, they have set the tone, you should still get in because you may have points of your own. That's the first thing. The second thing is, why make it easy for them? Just because they've started the bidding doesn't mean they can just easily relax and get to the place they want to be. Let's mess with them some. So let's make it difficult for them. So that's the second thing is. First thing is it may be your hand. The second thing is make it difficult for them. And then the third reason is that it's a good way to show your partner a lead that they can make. Tell your partner about a suit that you have that's a good suit, that if they'll lead that, maybe we'll get something out of that. So that's why we have those three reasons for getting into the bidding when we can get into the bidding. Something else you need to realize is that if the opponents have opened the bidding, there are only two ways you can get into the bidding. One of them is if you can overcall, which is what you talked about last week. And the second way is if you can make a takeout double, which we talk about this week. Those are the only two ways. You can no longer just open with 13 points like you would have if you were one of the first people to bid. But if the opponents have bid, if they have made that 13-point opening bid, now you have to follow one of these two rules, overcalls or takeout doubles, to make a bid at all. Otherwise, even if you have what would ordinarily be an opening hand, you have to pass. And we'll see some examples to that today of when that happens. When you have what would have been an opening bid, if you had been the first person to get to bid, you could have opened the bidding. Now you can't open the bidding because you don't fit the criteria for either one of these ways to get into the bidding. Okay. So the first one is called an overcall. Overcall. An overcall just means, well, somebody else has started the bidding and I'm bidding over them. I'm going to make a call. I'm going to make a bid that is over a bid that's already made by the opponents. It's not an overcall when your partner bids over you. That's a response. But when the opponents have bid and you want to get into the bidding, that is called an overcall. Now we've got some requirements to make an overcall. And the requirements are, first, you need to have a good 5-card suit, a good suit. And does anybody know what we mean when we say a good suit? That should be 2 out of the top 3 or 3 out of the top 5 cards in the suit that you want to bid. So let's say that you have a 5-card heart suit. You need to have like the ace king or the ace queen or the king queen. Those would be 2 of the top 3. Or you can have 3 of the top 5. So you can have like the ace jack 10 or the king jack 10 or the ace queen jack, the ace queen 10. Any 3 out of the top 5 bids that you have can let you in. Yes, Michael?
I was just wondering, I understand this, but wouldn't it, if you also have to have 8 to 16 points, aren't you almost always, if you meet both of these criteria,
Mm.
wouldn't it be hard to have 8 to 16 points and not have a good suit?
No, because the 8 to 16 points can be in any suit, not just in your suit. So you could have 8 to 16 points and have three other good suits as far as having points in them, but not have good points in there or not have five cards in the suit.
Okay, I understand.
So, yeah. So you need to have both criteria, the 8 to 16 points and the good five card suit. And yes, some of those 8 to 16 points does have to be in the good suit. So you can meet the definition, but it might not, that's not all you've got. And you might not have them in the suit. And if you don't have the good points in the suit, even if you have 8 to 16 points, you cannot overcall. You cannot bid. It could easily be that you have 16 points and the opponents have opened and you cannot say a word because you don't have a good five card suit. Maybe you've got five cards, but maybe they're no good. So if you've got 16 points in the other suits, but none of them are five cards or none of them meet the criteria, you just have to pass. And that's kind of hard to do for a while, but that's the way it goes. So a good five card suit, 2 out of the top 3 or 3 out of the top 5, and 8 to 16 high card points. Now it says here 10 to 17 total points. It's really 17 or 18 total points, about 16 high card points. There's not an exact definition here. It's just that if you have a lot of points, you need to do something else, not just an overcall. And what you will do is a takeout double, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But so remember, there is a high limit on the overcall that if you have too many points, you can't just make an overcall. So looking at that from the other point of view, if you make an overcall, if it goes like one diamond, one heart, you're making an overcall over the opponent's diamond, you say a heart. It also says, I do not have a big hand. I do not have 16 or more points. I'm somewhere between 8 and 16 points, and I've got a good five card suit. That's what it means when you make an overcall. They bid first, and then I bid. Like one diamond, one heart, or one club, one spade. I'm making an overcall. I'm opening the bidding for my side after they've opened the bidding for their side. Now, if you have to go to the 2 level to make an overcall, like they've bid a spade and you want to bid 2 hearts, now you need to have both a good five card suit and close to an opening hand. You notice back here, if you're at the 1 level, you can open with as little as 8 points. That's not very much. Ordinarily, you need to have 13 points to open. But when you open as an overcaller, we want you to be able to get into the bidding. So you can have a lot fewer points to get into the bidding. Just 8 points will let you get in if you have a good suit. But if you have to start at the 2 level, now it's getting a little dicier. So you need to have more points to come in, and you need to have like at least 10, 11, 12 is even better. Have near close to an opening hand, and a good five card suit or even a 6 card suit is better. Now, one final thing about overcalls, you can overcall a no trump. If they have opened a heart or a spade or a diamond, you can overcall a no trump. The only difference between this and a regular no trump bid is instead of 15 to 17, it goes up to about 18. So it's a little bit bigger no trump you can do. But the important thing is you need to have stoppers in the opponent's bid suit. The opponents have started with something. And if you were going to bid a no trump, you need to at least have that suit covered. If they said a heart, you need to have like the ace of hearts or the king small, king queen of hearts, or the queen jack 10 of hearts. Something that means that they cannot just play that suit and win everything in that suit. You need to be able to stop them from winning everything in that suit if you're going to bid one no trump. Ordinarily, when we bid one no trump, we don't care if we have every suit stocked. So a regular opening bid of one no trump, we don't care. But we do care when we're overcalling. If they've already warned us by bidding that they have a suit, we want to make sure that we can take care of that suit. We don't have to worry about that suit if we're going to bid no trump. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So those are the requirements for an overcall. You need to have a good 5-card suit, and you need to have between about 8 and 16 points, 10 or 11 and 16 if you're going to overcall at the 2 level. Okay. So that's an overcall. Now, the responses to an overcall are called advances. It's the same thing like if you would have responded to your partner on a regular opening bid, responding to an overcall, same thing, except it's called an advance, not a response. Don't ask me why. If you want to call it a response, I don't have a problem with that. But technically, the term is advancing. Now, if you do not have support, for your partner's suit, you just bid normally. Your partner has overcalled something, and so you can bid without support, just bid as usual. So if your partner, like the bidding has gone a diamond and your partner overcalled a diamond, a heart, pass. And now it's your turn to bid. And you can't support his hearts. But you can bid whatever you would have bid if he had opened one heart. So you can bid one spade if you have 6 points and 4 spades, or you can bid one no trump in response to him if you have 6 to 9 or 10 points and you don't have hearts and you don't have spades. Does this make sense? That's just a regular bid you would have made if they had opened one heart. So nothing changes the fact that they are overcalling, except that you need to remember, oh, wait, just because they bid a diamond and then my partner bid a heart, that's not an opening hand. They could have as few as 8 points. So I don't want to go crazy here. I still will bid what I have, especially at the 1 level. If I can bid a spade or I can bid a no trump, I'll do that. But I need to start worrying if I need to go to the 2 level. If I have good points, I can do that, but I need to remember that my partner can have as few as 8 when they overcall. So don't count them for a bunch of points. Wait until their second bid. If their second bid, they start bidding more and getting aggressive, okay, they had a real hand. But if they immediately rebid their suit or raise your suit, don't count on them for 13 points. Count on them for a lot less than that, down to about 8 points. So without support, just bid as usual, no changes. But with support, things do change, okay? If they have overcalled a suit and you have support for them, then it changes. Now notice that it is 3 cards as support. And we know that support because in order for them to have bid, they needed to have a 5-card suit, right? To bid. So 3 cards from us means we would have 8 between us. So that's what support is. So there are 2 categories. One is little, and this says 7 to 9. This really should say 6 to 9. 6 to 9 points or 10 or more points. You bid differently depending on which of those categories you're in. If you're in the low category here of 6 to 9, then you are just going to raise your partner's suit. And you're going to raise your partner's suit using what's called the law of total tricks. And I understand that that wasn't part of the class last week, I guess because the material doesn't mention the law of total tricks. But the law of total tricks is the reason we do this, so I want to explain it to you. The law of total tricks is this long, involved probability, statistical discussion that has to do with the fact that if one pair has at least 8 cards, the other pair will have at least 8 cards. This is a statistical fact. And because of this fact, if you know that they're going to have a fit too in some suit, the corollary of all this is that if you have the fit, it is safer for you to bid to the level that you have tricks between you than to just let them bid to the level that they have tricks between them. You don't really need to know everything about the law of tricks. Just remember that this comes off of it, that if you have 8 tricks, but 8 cards between you and a suit, you can bid to the 2 level because 6 and 2, that's the 2 level. Or if you have 9 between you, you can bid to the 3 level. That's 9 tricks, 6 and 3. Or if you have 10 between you, you can bid to the game level, like for hearts or spades. That's 10 tricks. That's 4, the level 4, which is the game level. So this is what this means. This means that sometimes you bid more than you really think you should, but it's because of this rule, the rule that tells us it's safe for us to bid to this level rather than letting them bid to their level. And we do this to make it difficult for them to get to the correct place, because we are just going to jump up if we need to go to the right place. So with 6 to 10 points, we raise our partner's suit using this law, which means that with 3 card support, we raise to 2 levels. So like 1 diamond, 1 heart, pass, 2 hearts. Or with 4 card support, we raise to the 3 level because that means we have 9 tricks between us. Their 5 and my 4 is 9. That means I can bid to the 3 level. Or if I have 5 cards in the suit, I'm just going to jump up to the 4 level. Now, this seems very dangerous to you, undoubtedly. Michael, you have a question?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It seems like since you don't know how many points your overcall partner has, you could be bidding the game level without having 25.
Yeah, that's true. You're definitely going to be doing that. But the rule tells us that we are safer to do that and go down than we would be to let them just bid where they want to be. And the fewer points we have, just kind of ironically, the fewer points that we have, the more we want to do this. Because the fewer points that we have, the more points that they have. So we want it. Part of the reason we said we do these overcalls is to mess with the opponents. Well, this is an example of messing with the opponents. This is the messing with the opponents part of the bidding. We may not make it, but we are going to lose less by going down 1 or 2 and losing 50 or 100 points than we will be to let them make 2 or 3 and get 110 or 120, 150 points. We'll lose less by us going down than we will lose by letting them make their contract. That's the theory here. And I know it's hard to do at first because you think, how could this possibly be true? But it is true. This is how this works. Laura, how about you? You had a question? And you're
Just
Mhm.
a quick question. So this point spread for this raise part, is that 6 to 9 or 6 to 10?
Well, it depends on which of the Audrey Grant books you read. I think
Oh,
this book uses 6 to 10. I use 6 to 9 because I like 6 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 18, 19 to 21. I like these consistent numbers. But in the past years, they've gone more to 6 to 10 and 11, 12 being the other one. It's just 1 point difference. What's 1 point between friends? So whichever one you feel more comfortable with, if it's easier for you to remember the 6 to 10 and 11 or 12 is the next one, use that. That's just fine. If it's easier for you to use what you've read, that's fine. Or if it's easier for you to remember just these 3 card increments the way I do, you're just going to be 1 card off, 1 point off. So okay, so if you are in the lower category, the 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, however you want to look at it, you are just going to immediately raise your partner's suit. So if you raise your partner's suit, we're saying we don't have many points. Now remember that if you jump raise your partner's suit without there being competitive bidding, without the opponents have bid, if it goes 1 heart, 3 hearts, I'm saying I have some extra points, right? That's called a limit raise, and that says I've got 10 to 12 points or 11 or 12 points, depending on how you're looking at it. So that is a stronger bid, a jump raise without interference, the way you've been learning jump raises up until now. But when there's competitive bidding, when the opponents have opened the bidding, a jump raise is the same 7 to 9 points. Any direct raise of your partner's suit is not a strong bid. It's a weak bid. So 1 heart, 2 hearts, or 1 heart, 3 hearts, or 1 heart, 4 hearts are all weak bids, even though you're bidding high. The purpose is to make it difficult for the opponents to bid at all. Then the other category you could be in is 10 plus or 11 plus, if you're looking at it that way. Either 10 or 11 plus, you are going to Q bid in the opponent's suit. Now, a Q bid means you bid their suit. So if it goes 1 diamond and partner bids a heart, pass, and I've got 10 points or more in my partner's suit, I am going to bid 2 diamonds. I'm going to Q bid their suit. That tells partner, hey, I've got support for you and I've got 10 or more points. And look what it does. It's gone 1 diamond, 1 heart, pass, 2 diamonds. Now, what does this diamond person over here do? If he wants to bid again, he's got to bid 3 diamonds. It makes it difficult for him to find a bid. We always like to make it, the whole purpose actually of this competitive bidding we're doing, these new rules that we're learning, part of them are to describe our hand to our partner, for sure. But part of them are to make it difficult for the opponents to get in another bid, to further describe their hand to their partner. Okay, so if partner has made an overcall and we have support for partner, we use one of these 2 rules. If we're in the lower category, we raise directly. Or if we're in the higher category of 10 or more, we're always going to Q bid in the opponent's suit. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you here, people forget this Q bid. I don't know why, but it is really a good bid, but people forget that this exists. And so you may forget to use it, or you may hear somebody use it. And like if you opened a diamond and the opponent's bid 1 heart past 2 diamonds, then you're going to be wondering, hey, what are they doing bidding my suit? Well, they're not really bidding your suit. They are bidding your suit, but they're not bidding it because they have diamonds. They're bidding it because they have hearts. Does that make sense to everybody?
That is insane.
It is insane, yes. But that's bridge. I mean, you're all kind of crazy to be doing this, right? So you should fit right in with this, okay? No problem. All right, so that's overcalls. And again, an overcall is just your partner is bid. The opponents have bid. You want to bid, you've got a good 5-card suit, and you've got at least 8 to 16 points. You overcall a suit. And if your partner has support for your suit, they use these special rules to show you the support. Otherwise, if they don't have support, you just make a regular bid. You kind of treat that like it's a regular bid. Just remembering it's not an opening bid. It could be as few as 8 points. And your partner will let you know by the next thing they bid if they had not much or they've got some more. Okay, let's talk about the second way to get into the bidding if the opponents have started the bidding, and that is a takeout double. A takeout double is just in your bidding box. I didn't get my bidding box out, but in your bidding box, it's the red X. That is the takeout double. That is a double. The X is a double. And the two X's are called a redouble. We're not going to talk about those. But the X for the double, it's just the word double, used to be used, originally was used as a penalty double for points. It had to do with points. We're not going to use it that way, but that's how it used to be used. And what it said was, I don't think you can make your contract. If you bid four hearts or four spades, the opponents did, then you can double. And double says, I don't think you're going to make your contract. As a matter of fact, I'm so sure about that I'll let you have extra points if you do make it, and I'll get extra points if you don't make it. That's how sure I am that you're not going to make it. So that is the double for penalty. It meant that if it went like one heart, four hearts, double, that meant I don't think you can make that. If you make it, you get double the points. If you don't make it, I get double the points. That's what it used to be. But you can see that you would rarely use that at a low level. Like if they bid one diamond, two diamonds, you would hardly ever think to yourself, oh, there's no way they can make that. I mean, just think about the hand you would have to have if they bid two diamonds for you to be able to say you're not going to make that. I mean, you'd probably have to have six diamonds with the ace, king, queen, jack, or something really strong, you know, the ace, king, ace, king, ace, king, and the other three suits for you to go, you can't make two diamonds. I mean, you know, maybe they can't, but are you going to want to double them if they do make it and lose double if they do make it? So it was very rare to use that penalty to use the double as a penalty double at low levels. At the high levels, yes, because it's easier to see you might get two or three tricks than it is to see that you need to get five or six tricks. So the penalty is still, a double is still for penalty at high levels, at suit contracts, like four hearts, four spades, five clubs, five diamonds, six of something, seven of something. If you double, that is for penalty. But if you double at a lower level, it is something else. And there are a lot of different things that we use it as. You'll find as you learn more in bridge, there's several different ways that you can use the double certain situations where you can use the double to mean certain things. But at our level, the first one we're going to learn is this thing called a takeout double. And a takeout double means, partner, I want you to take out this double. I'm going to double, but I don't mean it for penalty. So I want you to bid. You must bid so that this double won't be the last bid. You have to bid something. In the handout, it tells you when you know it's doubling for takeout. And you can read these, but the easiest thing to remember is it's just that if it's a low level, it is a takeout double. It means partner must bid if you double. If it's a higher level, like a suit, like a game contract, then yes, it probably is for penalty. So you can read these, but we're not going to talk about them a lot right now. Okay, so the requirements you need to have for it to make a takeout double are, first of all, you need to have support for the unbid suits, particularly the unbid major suit, and at least an opening hand. Okay, now notice this is really different than the overcall. The overcall says, I've got a good suit. I'm bidding a good suit. This is a good suit I'm bidding. The takeout double says, I don't have a good suit, but I've got some cards in every suit. So partner, you pick the suit. I don't care what you pick. Any card, any suit you pick is fine. And to do this, you need to have a pretty good hand. You need to have an opening hand yourself. There's none of this 8 points like there is when you have a good suit and you can overcall. To do this takeout double, you have to have at least 13 points. You have to have an opening bid yourself. But you can do this using that dummy points, because if you are making your partner bid, who is going to be declarer? They are. If you make them name the suit, because that's what takeout double does. It says it goes one heart, double, pass. That double means partner. I've got an opening hand, but I don't have a suit. You tell me your best suit. I lost my picture for a minute there. It says, you tell me your best suit. And because of that, because they are going to have to name the suit, you're not, that means you get to use dummy points. So if you have a singleton or a doubleton, remember how we talked about that earlier in the class? That if you are going to be the dummy, you get to add points for shortness. So if you have a void, you get to add 5 points. A void is no cards in a suit. If you have a singleton, 1 card in a suit, you get to add 3 points. And if you have a doubleton, which is 2 cards in the suit, you get to add 1 point. So you get to do those. You get to add those points, those dummy points, to your hand to see if you have an opening bid. And notice that if you don't have any cards in a suit, so you're void, and you get to add 5, you would maybe have 8 points and get to add 5. That's 13. Now you've got an opening hand. So in a way, you can have a very small hand for a takeout double, but it will mean that you have a suit that is very short. Also notice that there can be only one short suit because you have to have support for any unbid suit. So if the opponent started out with a diamond, you can be short in diamonds, but you've got at least 3 or 4 cards in every other suit, the other 3 suits. And that's how you can tell your partner, hey, you've got to bid one of these suits because I've got support for every one of the suits. Okay. One other thing I'm going to throw in right now is you either have this, which is support for any of the unbid suits in an opening hand, or you've got what we call the big double. The big double is that thing where you had too many points to overcall. Remember, we talked about that just a little bit earlier. If you want to overcall, but you've got 18 points, you cannot overcall. You have to double instead. And if you double and then you bid a suit, that means that was a big double. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Right now, let's just focus on you have made a regular takeout double, which is you have at least 3 cards in every other suit and you have an opening hand yourself using dummy points. Okay, because this is called a takeout double, partner cannot leave the double in. Partner must bid. The bidding cannot be 1 diamond, double, pass, pass. I cannot pass under any circumstances. If I have 0 points, I cannot pass. I must bid something. Okay? And when that happens to you, when you have to bid with 0 points, you can say to your partner, you made me do this. Okay? It was his idea, not yours. But if they do a takeout double, they are making you bid no matter if you have 0 points. So let's look at what you decide to bid. This is advancing after the takeout double. So your partner has made one of these doubles and now you have to bid. And just like usual, as you've been learning all along in class, we give priority to major suits. So if you have a choice between bidding a 4-card heart suit and a 5-card diamond suit, you're going to bid the 4-card heart suit. So if you have a 4-card major suit, you will bid that. Otherwise, you'll bid whatever your longest suit is. Okay? So again, just like usual, there are categories, low, medium, high. If you have 0 to 8 points, 0 to 8 points, you just bid whatever you should bid at the lowest, cheapest level. So that would be something like 1 diamond, double, pass, 1 heart, or 1 diamond, double, pass, one spade, or even one diamond, double, pass, two clubs. You bid the cheapest thing you can with 0 to 8 points. So just the cheapest thing. You don't jump, you don't do anything. Cheapest thing you can bid, because 8 points is not much. If you have 8 and he has 13, you barely have half the cards in the deck, half the points in the deck. So you want to be the cheapest you can. One little other thing to remember is if you have 6 to 8 points, that's kind of more like a regular responding bid, right? 6 points, 6 to 8. Well, if there has been an intervening bid, then you don't have to bid unless you have 6 to 8. That would be something like one diamond, double, one heart by the opponents, one diamond, double, one heart. They took it out themselves. Now you're off the hook. They took it out. The opponents took it out, took the double out, erased the double by bidding. So when they do that, now you don't have to bid, but you will bid if you have 6 to 8 points to let your partner know that. So if it goes a diamond, double, one heart, usually you'll pass if you have less than 6 points. But if you have 6 to 8 points, it's going to go a diamond, double, one heart, one spade, or two clubs. You're going to bid to show them, well, I've got 6 to 8 points, because that's good information for them to have. Or even one no trump you could bid. Now, if you've got a little bit more, around 10 points, that's how I like to think about this. It's 9 to 11, but I like to think about this as being about 10 points. Then you were going to jump in your suit. Whatever the correct suit for you to bid is, you're going to jump in that suit. And that shows partner, you've got about 10 points. You've got more for him to depend on. Now, if you have 12 or more points, remember he has 13 points, right? He has an opening hand. If you've got 12 points yourself, that's 25 points, right? You have a game between you. So if he has told you, I've got an opening hand, you pick the suit, well, you pick the suit and you go to game if you've got 12 or more points. So if you have a good suit, you just bid it. So it might go something like a diamond, double, pass, 4 hearts, or a diamond, double, pass, 4 spades. That means you've got at least 12 or more points, and that's your suit, hearts or spades. There is one other thing you can do, and that's when you're not sure where you should be, which suit you should bid. You can Q bid to tell your partner you've got opening hand, but you're not sure which suit to bid. So that would sound like one diamond, double, pass, 2 diamonds. 2 diamonds. Well, what could that mean? I mean, partner, you told me to pick a suit, and I picked the opponent's suit. That doesn't mean anything, does it? That means I'm throwing it back to you. You decide. And so practically the only time this is used is when you have 4 hearts and 4 spades. How do you pick between those two? This gives you a chance to throw it back to your partner and let them pick. Now notice the only time you can do this Q bid is when you've got a game, your game going. If you have 4 hearts and 4 spades at the lower level, like you have 5 points and 4 hearts and 4 spades, you pick either hearts or spades. You can't do this Q bid. But if you've got enough points that you know you need to go to game, you're just not sure where the game is, you Q bid to throw it back to your partner and make them pick. They'll bid whichever of their major suits they have. Sometimes they'll have one 4 card and one 3 card. In that case, they would bid the 4 card. Yeah, Laura?
So back to 9 to 11 total points, or around 10.
Yeah.
the jump in 4-card major or longest suit, what do you mean jump? Do
Okay.
you mean jump to the next level
Yeah,
or?
it skip over a level. So it would be like one diamond, double, pass, two hearts. I jumped up to two hearts. I could bid one heart. That would be if I had 0 to 8 points, I would just bid one heart. But if I've got about 10 points, I can skip over that first level and go to the second level. Or one diamond, double, pass, two spades instead of one spade. So yeah, it means to jump up a level. Okay. Now, there are some other things you can do. These are if you want to bid a suit, the 0 to 8, the 9 to 11, and the 12 or more. But sometimes you don't have a suit to bid. You have cards in all the suits yourself, and you have a stopper in the opponent's suit. In other words, your partner has bid this takeout double being short in the opponent's suit, right? That's why they make this bid. They've got cards in the other suits. It usually means they're short in the opponent's suit. So if you have the opponent's suit yourself and you have at least a stopper in it, if they bid the diamonds we've been talking about, for instance, and you have the ace king of diamonds and you don't really have another good suit, but you have that suit stopped, then you can bid a no trump. And a no trump is about, it's 8 to 10. You could bid it as low as like 6 or 7. It's a regular no trump bid, basically. Or if you've got 11 or 12 points, you could bid 2 no trump. Or 13 or more points, you can bid 3 no trump. As long as you don't have to worry about the diamonds that the opponents bid, because you know your partner does not have diamonds. That's why they made the takeout double. Does that make sense to everybody? So you can bid no trump instead of bidding a suit. They've told you to bid a suit, but if you've got the opponent's suit stopped, you've got good cards in the opponent's suit, then you can bid no trump. That's a better bid than naming a suit. But you do have to have that suit stopped, especially because we know that your partner doesn't have good cards in that suit. That's why they made the takeout double. Okay, one last thing to look at is rebids by the takeout doubler. Okay, so it's gone a diamond, double, pass. If I bid a heart, I could have 0 points, and my partner knows that. So usually the partner, the takeout doubler, is just going to pass. The auction very usually goes one diamond, double, pass, one heart, pass, pass. The takeout doubler passes. You know, you told them to bid, they told you they have very little points. Don't bid again. Don't raise them. Don't go, oh, good, they've got hearts, I've got hearts, I'm going to bid again. Don't do that, especially if you have the minimum of around 13. Now, if you've got a little bit more, if you've got 16 or 17 points, then yes, you can encourage them by maybe raising the hearts. But remember, they have 0. They could have 0. They could have 8, but they could have 0. Just think, do I feel lucky today? Is today a 0 kind of day or an 8 kind of day? So that should help you decide. But so you can, if you have 16 or 17 points, it could go one diamond, double, pass, one heart, pass, 2 hearts. 2 hearts would mean, partner, I have a pretty good hand. If you have 8 points, if you're at the high end, maybe we should even be at game. But if you're at the 0, pass. Don't say a word, just pass. You can jump if you have a maximum hand like 18 or more points. You can even jump. So that would be something like one diamond, double, pass, one heart, pass, 3 hearts. That's a jump. that means I've got a really good hand. If you've got anything at all, if you've got 6 or 7 points, 5 or 6 points, we should be at a game. And one last thing you need to remember is that any new suit by the takeout doubler means that they had a big double. So if you double, if you were a takeout doubler and you bid a new suit, that means that was not a regular takeout double. That was a big double. That was, I have a really good suit and I had too many points to just overcall. Remember back up in the overcall section, we said that about 16 is the most that you can have to make a overcall. If you've got more than that, you have to double. Now, how does your partner know whether or not it's a big double or a regular double? Because it's just going to sound like one diamond double. That's all you hear is the double. And so you don't know what it is until they come back and bid a new suit. And so if it goes a diamond, double, pass, 1 heart, pass, 1 spade, that is a big double. Anytime the doubler bids a new suit, that means, partner, I've got at least 16 points and I've got a really good spade suit. I had too much to just overcall 1 spade. I couldn't go 1 diamond, 1 spade. Didn't have a good enough hand for that. I mean, I had too good of a hand for that. So I had to double first. Now I'm showing you that I actually have a really good overcall hand. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, now, because this is all so new and there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts kind of thrown at you in here, I would really, really, really suggest that you do the exercises at the end of both chapters, the overcall chapter and the takeout double chapter, because this gives you a time to practice making a decision about, 6 to 8 points, what do I bid? 0 to 8 points, what do I bid? If I've got 10 points, what do I do? It will help you make those decisions by going through these exercises, because just talking through this, I know it's going to be really hard to put this into practice unless you practice by using the exercises, which are really good at the end of each one of those 2 chapters. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Good, you're ready to go on this?
Perfect. Well, I have maybe a odd question. I've been talking with my mom, who plays at a senior center in some town, and I guess they play social bridge, and I don't think that they have these concepts.
Right.
So if one were going to go play with them, do you have to like find out what your partner knows? And
yeah, this is kind of always the case. The people that play social bridge sometimes don't follow these rules. What we're teaching you in these classes is what's called standard American bridge. But the people that learned how to play bridge 30 or 40 years ago learned standard American bridge at that time. So it's not that what they're playing is wrong, it's what they're playing is old. And I'm an old person, so I can say this, okay? Because I learned a lot of things years ago that are not true now. But if you haven't studied it and kept up with it, you will be playing using the older rules. That's perfectly fine. Everybody can have a great game and have a good time playing the old rules. You'll just need to know, as a person who's been educated in the newer rules, that you need to play, either bring them up to speed, which is not going to work, I can tell you right now, or play their game. So just have them tell you how they play, and you kind of make a note of the differences between what they're doing and what we're telling you here. There usually is not a lot of difference, but one thing that they do is most of them don't use these rules for overcalls particularly. You will find some of them that do take out doubles. Sometimes
But
they notate.
but what we're learning here is primarily for this duplicate style where you're comparing to other teams, right? And so,
It's not for that, it's for
oh,
everything,
okay,
In a
okay,
perfect world, even social bridge would be played using these rules because
okay.
these rules are um, they're superior. The reason that people have started doing this is because technically these are better. They give you a better game, they give you better results, they make you a better player if you play by these rules. But
So this is more universally
yeah, you could
functional, I guess.
theoretically you could go into any club or any game anywhere around the United States, Canada, or Mexico even, and they should be playing by these rules. Now, social games play at whatever level the people there play. And so they won't be playing all of this. They may be playing none of this, or they'll be playing part of it. They could, if they have not made any changes since the 1960s, they won't even be opening with 5 card majors. They'll be opening with 4 card majors. And their no trumps will be like 16 to 18 points instead of 15 to 17 points. There's just, it depends on when you started playing and how much you've updated your bridge as to where any given group of social players are. And if you're like in a neighborhood group or a regular group that somebody plays in, you just have to find out what are your rules. And they're not going to know the difference between
Mm.
what you know and what they know. So it's going to be hard. It's just going to be you're going to have to play with them, and you're just going to have to apologize some and go, oh, well, sorry, I learned it this way, but we'll play it your way,
And be
because
nice.
yeah, they're not going to change. I mean, I've played
They're
in
not.
different social groups, and they like to play what they like to play. I used to play in one group with a friend of mine who's a really good bridge player, and we'd play together at the Bridge Center a lot. But she moved into my neighborhood, and in our social group, she said, Sally, you ought to do lessons for these people because they're playing this old way and they're not doing this and that. And I said, Rachel, these people do not want to learn. They are perfectly happy playing the way they play. And that's true. They just, it's a social game for them. They're having a good time. They don't want to mess with this thing about jumping up to a game where, it's considered rude, actually, to do that.
Or Stamen convention.
Yeah. Okay. Then they are really old school. My grandmother, who I learned from in the 60s, played Stamen. She didn't play it correctly, but she did play Stamen. So, because that's been around a long time. So then the group of people that you're playing with are really playing old school bridge, which is fine. You'll just have to, kind of adjust what you're learning here to what you're playing with them. But you should easily be able to do it. It's only a few changes. It's not like it's a whole different thing that you can't understand what they're doing.
That's such a positive take on it.
Well,
Thank you for that.
it is. I mean, it's a fun game either way you want to play. So, all right, guys, that is it then. I will see you all next Saturday for our play party.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.